Before that sun rises.
Fucking bitch!
Communicating with others requires much drama, especially building good relationships with people. However, it's important to remember that we shouldn't lose ourselves in the process. There comes a time when people will leave, and all we will be left with is ourselves. Keep your spirits up for those of you who are struggling, enjoy your break, and happy watching. On the Wild West frontier, a group of sheriffs and locals are seen capturing Red Kavanaugh, a hardened outlaw accused of a string of crimes, including murder and robbery. They escort Red to the place of execution by hanging. However, before the execution begins, a group of Red's friends from the Blackwater gang suddenly appear and attack the sheriffs. The Blackwater gang consists of Baptiste, Darko, Ramos, Snake, Washington, the gang leader, and Red's half-brother, Guerrero de la Cruz. After successfully killing the sheriffs and saving Red, they immediately fled into the forest. The next morning, as they camped, Guerrero told Red about his dream experiences of being visited by a demon in human form, who he believed lived somewhere in hell. While Guerrero was telling his story, Red broke the good news to his brother-in-law and the rest of the gang that there was a small town called Edendale in Colorado. The town was famous for having a mine that produced mineral water. In addition, 2 months ago, Red also received news that the city discovered abundant gold reserves. The discovery then became miners' rights in Edendale City, led by a sheriff named Bob. Bob is known as a fair and wise leader. Reportedly, a marshal named Jack secretly plans to enjoy the gold in the city for himself. However, fortunately, Bob managed to smell the rotten plan and finally managed to thwart it while threatening to sue Jack if the plan continued. Red then suggested to Guerrero seize the gold reportedly stored in Edendale Bank, hoping they could use it to build a legitimate business so they would no longer be involved in crime. Guerrero, who wanted to live a quiet life, finally agreed to Red's suggestion and ordered his gang to get ready. The next day, the Blackwater gang began their journey to Edendale City. After arriving there, they went straight to a bar and started to cause a bit of fear among the residents. Then, Guerrero gathered all his members together to formulate a plan. They decided to act that very night. In his directive, Guerrero also ordered all of his gang members not to kill townspeople who did not resist. That night, Guerrero began dividing the tasks by sending 2 gang members to the sheriff's office while he and another member would enter the bank. After paralyzing the guards, Guerrero entered the bank and tried to break into the safe using explosives.
This is gonna get loud.
Meanwhile, 2 other members were seen to start shooting at the sheriff's office, putting them in a desperate situation. Chief Sheriff Bob then asked his wife, Calathea, to guard the office while he and the other sheriffs tried to take the fight to the Blackwater gang. After successfully taking all the gold inside the bank, Guerrero destroyed it by blowing it up. Meanwhile, the outnumbered Bob was finally caught and brought to a bar near the bank, where Calathea had also been caught. However, the unexpected happened. As Bob was about to approach his wife, he was shot dead by Red. This made Guerrero furious, and he ordered his men to leave the city immediately as they had gotten what they needed. Surprisingly, however, Red suddenly ignored Guerrero's orders and revealed his intention to take control of Edendale City. He then shot Guerrero, an action that left the other members shocked and spontaneously pointed their guns at Red. However, Red quickly showed them the deed to the mine, indicating that he officially owned the mine. Realizing this, all the members chose to side with Red and fired at the dying Guerrero until Guerrero finally died when the clock struck 12. The next day, the Blackwater gang members held a funeral ceremony for Guerrero. Afterward, Red told the gang members that he would be in charge from now on. In addition, he also announced his plan to change the name of Edendale City to Tombstone. After leaving Guerrero's grave, the dead Guerrero miraculously woke up in a place that always appeared in his dreams, namely hell. Guerrero then met a demon who also always appeared in his dreams, the demon named Lucifer. Lucifer began to torture Guerrero and revealed that he was very happy with Guerrero's arrival because his blood and flesh made the fire of hell even hotter. This was due to Guerrero's incessant sinning throughout his life. During the torture, Guerrero makes an offer to Lucifer by begging for a chance to come back to life as a form of revenge against his gang members. In addition, he pointed out that the 6 members also had considerable sins that would certainly increase the quality of hellfire. Lucifer, realizing this, granted Guerrero's request. However, Lucifer gave a 24-hour time limit for Guerrero to kill his gang members, and only Guerrero was allowed to do so. Not only that, Lucifer also promised freedom for Guerrero if he managed to bring his 6 members to hell. Meanwhile, unlike Guerrero's place, life in the real world goes on for a year after Guerrero died. Edendale, now renamed Tombstone, was ruled by Red, while other gang members occupied government seats. During his time in Tombstone, Red would throw parties every night, hiring all the prostitutes and buying drinks to entertain them. When the clock struck 12 p.m., the night Guerrero was killed, Guerrero suddenly rose from the grave. His resurrection caused all of Tombstone City to change slightly, including the appearance of a bullet hole in the bar's clock where Guerrero died. Ramos, who believed in spiritual powers, was terrified upon learning of this and immediately decided to return home. Once there, Ramos also felt that something strange was happening. He suddenly heard a man's voice coming from his stable. Ramos immediately went to the stable and found one of his men cleaning Red's weapons. Meanwhile, inside the house, one of Ramos' men was suddenly shot by Guerrero. Not only that, Ramos' other men also suffered a similar fate. With his body still covered in mud, Guerrero came to take revenge. Knowing that Guerrero had risen from the dead, Ramos was astonished and slowly approached Guerrero, who was seen sitting while holding 2 of his favorite weapons. Guerrero then began to assemble the guns. However, when Ramos approached, Guerrero immediately killed him. After that, Guerrero took his old clothes and carried Ramos' body to a church. Upon arrival, Guerrero met a priest and the wife of the late Chief Sheriff Bob. Seeing Guerrero coming with Ramos' body, Calathea offered Guerrero her help. In addition, Calathea also wanted to avenge her husband's death. However, Guerrero refused and told the priest and Calathea to collect 6 coffins that would be used to hold the bodies of Ramos and his other gang members. Guerrero then placed Ramos' body into one of the coffins and left the church to hunt down the remaining 5 members. The next day, Baptiste and his men were surprised to find Ramos dead in a coffin. Shortly afterward, they heard a noise from inside the slaughterhouse. Baptiste asked his men to check it out, but as soon as they entered, they were immediately hit by a shot from Guerrero, which threw them out.
Come on, I got a fistful of lead for you.
Baptiste and dozens of his men entered the slaughterhouse and started shooting in all directions, but none of their shots hit Guerrero's body. Quickly, Guerrero revealed himself and began killing Baptiste's men one by one. Then, he killed Baptiste himself. After successfully killing Baptiste, Guerrero placed his body in another coffin. The local people who witnessed the incident were very happy with Guerrero's actions and began to favor him. As Guerrero entered the church, he was approached by Calafia, who realized that Guerrero was a former Blackwater leader who had been killed a year ago for treason. Although Guerrero's resurrection seemed absurd, Calafia again offered to help fight Red's men. She also revealed that the government had not acted to crack down on Red's crimes for a year. However, Guerrero still refused Calafia's help. Meanwhile, Red, who is now the chief sheriff, was shocked to hear the news of Ramos and Baptiste's death. Quickly, he and the other remaining members went to the church to see the bodies of Ramos and Baptiste, who had been lying stiff in the coffin with torn papers from the Holy Book. On the other hand, Guerrero went to a bar to lure the arrival of Blackwater. There, he meets Lucifer, who reminds him that he only has 12 hours to kill all Blackwater members. Lucifer also warns Guerrero about Calafia, who might interfere with his mission as she intends to take revenge on Red for the death of her husband. After getting information that the man who killed his members was in a bar, Red immediately rushed there with his entire army. Quickly, they surrounded the bar. However, how surprised Red was to find out that the man was the brother-in-law he had killed himself a year ago. From here, there was a shootout between Guerrero and Red's troops. In the shootout, Guerrero managed to kill Darko. Seeing his men fall one by one, Red tried to escape. However, before he could leave, he was intercepted by Calafia, who was waiting for him in front of the bar. However, before Calafia could shoot, Guerrero shielded Red to protect his mission. As a result, Red managed to escape and trampled Guerrero's body with the horse he was riding, leaving Guerrero unconscious. Upon regaining consciousness, Guerrero was immediately scolded by Calafia for preventing her from killing Red. Guerrero then explained to Calafia about the agreement with the demon Lucifer that if he managed to kill a Blackwater member with his own hands, then he would be freed from hellfire. Hearing that explanation, Calafia realized and became convinced that Guerrero was the man who was killed 1 year ago. She also promised to help Guerrero even though she would not have the chance to intervene in the killing of the remaining Blackwater members. In addition, Guerrero also began to get help from the civilians who had long suffered from Red's leadership. Guerrero and Calafia then went to the mine where the remaining Blackwater members allegedly hid. Once there, they could easily kill the mine guards on duty. After that, the two entered the mine and engaged in a shootout with Red's men. Amid the chaos, Marshal Jack and his men arrive. From here, it was revealed that Red had worked with Jack a year ago. It is known that Jack deliberately hired Red to incite the Blackwater gang to be willing to steal gold from Edendale City. However, the real goal of the two is to control Edendale City so that they can make huge profits by building an uninterrupted gold mining business. After Red successfully carried out his task and killed Guerrero, Jack sent hundreds of his men to help Red manage the gold mine. Jack invited Red to return to the city, while Snake, Washington, and Red's men were assigned to face Guerrero. Snake then sent 2 of his men to kill Guerrero, who was known to be hiding behind a cave wall. However, it was Snake's 2 men who were killed and sent back by Guerrero using a subway wagon. Realizing that bullets alone were not enough to kill Guerrero, Washington threw 2 pieces of dynamite against the cave wall. However, it turned out that Guerrero and Calafia had managed to hide in the wagon carrying the corpses of Washington's men and managed to kill Washington secretly. After successfully killing Washington, they both immediately rushed to the city to bring Washington's body into the church and also to chase Red back. However, while the two carried Washington's body into the carriage, Snake caught them, and there was a chase between them. During the chase, Guerrero managed to kill some of Snake's men with his dynamite. Upon arriving at the city, Calafia accidentally fell off her horse, while Guerrero was shot in the shoulder. Red, who had been waiting for the 2 of them in town, seized the opportunity to kidnap Calafia and take her to a bar. However, it turned out to be a trap for Guerrero. Red then turned around to give Calafia to Snake. With Calafia as a hostage, Snake asked Guerrero to surrender with the threat that if he didn't, he would kill Calafia. Luckily, before Snake shot Calafia dead, Guerrero fired a shot that successfully hit Snake's head. At the same time, the citizens who helped Guerrero fight Red's men arrived. A firefight ensued. Unfortunately, in the shootout, Guerrero was hit by several shots, causing him to die for the second time. Guerrero's spirit then moved to hell. Feeling sorry, Lucifer mercifully gave Guerrero one more chance to complete the mission within an hour. Meanwhile, seeing the increasingly unfavorable state of the city, Jack tells Red to meet him. They began to discuss the condition of the city at that time. However, they finally reached a dead end in the middle of the conversation. Jack, feeling frustrated, spontaneously uttered words that demeaned Red. Hearing this, Red is angry and immediately kills Jack. Seeing that Jack was dead, the citizens who gathered with complete weapons began to force their way into Red's office. Red immediately brought Calathea to serve as a shield. Finally, Red was surrounded by residents, and soon, Guerrero reappeared to kill Red. As true gentlemen, they both agreed to a shootout. Red then released Calathea, and the shootout began. They fired at each other, but all the bullets they fired were controlled by Lucifer so that both of them were balanced and no one lost in the shootout. Lucifer did this so that both ran out of bullets and dueled with bare hands. After the shootout was over, Guerrero dragged Red into the warehouse, where the two fought each other until finally, Guerrero managed to kill Red. After killing Red, Guerrero put all the bodies of his 6 gang members into a coffin in front of the church. Then, Guerrero entered the church to wait for Lucifer's arrival. When he met Lucifer, Guerrero revealed that he was relieved that his task had been completed, and more than that, he could also live again on Earth. However, hearing Guerrero's story, Lucifer denied it. This was because Guerrero managed to kill Red outside the hour they had agreed upon, so Guerrero failed to complete the mission. Lucifer then gave Guerrero a third chance by giving him an agreement to help him kill the evil people on Earth. So that later, Hellfire will be more qualified to torture the sinners. Since Guerrero did not want to return to Hell, he accepted the agreement. After that, Lucifer returned to Hell, where he was also seen giving Red the same agreement he had given Guerrero when he first entered Hell. This raises the possibility that Red will be resurrected to meet Guerrero. And so the movie ends.